take on our next story. We'll talk banking now. You know, bank recapitalization is a very important exercise in business. It ensures that strong banks are able to meet capital adequacy thresholds and provide large-scale funding when necessary. We can announce that 30 banks have met the new minimum capital requirements applicable to their respective license authorizations. Spokesman of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Hakama Ali Sidi, made the disclosure recently. As to the statement, 33 banks have been able to raise additional capital through rights issues and initial public offerings, the IPOs, you know. But 3 banks have yet to meet the minimum capital requirements. We are gradually getting close home, won't you say?
Yeah, I think the CBN came up with this policy in 2024.
Okay.
So the banks were giving about 1 year to recapitalize.
March 31st this year.
Yes, yes. So they still have about some few
2-3 weeks.
Yes, to go. And out of 33 banks, 30 have been given a clean bill. And then we have 3 that are still facing investigation. So most likely before the end of March this year, they will have been able to meet up. And I think it's a very good thing to ensure that the banks are resilient, that they are strong enough, they have a very strong capital base, that they can compete locally and internationally, and that they can be, I mean, there could be public trust, you know, that they can be partners in the development of the Nigerian economy.
And for that matter, that whatever money you put in there is safe.
It's safe. And this is the 3rd time we have done this since 1999.
Yeah.
At the time, we had almost about 9 banks. After recapitalization, many of them had to
merge.
The former CBN did the Sanusi, and then the. So this is the 3rd time. And I'm glad that at least majority of them, you know, as of today, and there's a possibility that the remaining 3 will be able to meet up. The last time there were this capitalization, there were lots of jobs. Almost about 12,000 people, direct and indirect workers, lost their jobs. I have not heard any story that people have lost their jobs in this case. So I hope that at the end of this month, the 33 banks will be able to meet up. Those that are expected to operate internationally, they have their own expected capital base. Then those that are to operate nationally, and then those that are to operate regionally. So I hope that at the end of this month of March, the 33 banks will be able to live up to the expected capital base that has been set by the CBN. I think it's going to make Nigerian banks to be stronger. For now, many of them are operating outside the country, in UK, in Asia, in Ghana. And in Ghana, I think Nigerian banks are some of the strongest. The 2 banks who are owned by Nigerians, you know, are the strongest in Ghana. We also have some of our banks operating in other parts of the country. So we should be able to compete regionally and internationally. And I think before you can do it, you need a very strong base. So I hope that by March 30, I believe
March 31st.
Yes, 31st, you know, the remaining 3 banks will be able to meet up.
Yeah, BKO, we're back at you again. So we can say that the 37th governor in my country, your country, Yemi Cardoso, is doing a yeoman's job.
Yes, he's done very well, especially in managing volatility in the exchange rates market. He's exceeded my expectations because we now have some form of arbitrage has been effectively removed, and we now have unification of the exchange rates. Uniting, I mean, the black market with the official market. It had not been like that for many years. Seen that situation happening and the stability in the exchange rates. That enables businesses to plan, and it has made foreign direct investment to come into our country. More and more companies are coming into Nigeria now because of the stability that we have in terms of exchange rates, and the foreign reserves are growing. We are now above $50 billion, which is the first time we have reached that in 13 years. So it's brought a lot of discipline to the management of the foreign exchange market that was not there before now. So, and people now have access to foreign exchange. They don't need to bribe people in CBN. If you're interested in foreign exchange, you'll be able to access it. Now that they are also trying to bring in more good exchange operators into that market to give them access to foreign exchange, I know that things will continue to get better. But coming to the recapitalization agenda of the of banks by the CBN, the CBN has already made it clear that if you cannot meet that threshold, you can downgrade to a regional bank.
Okay.
By downgrading to a regional bank, the stipulations are not as difficult, are not as stringent as it is if you are to continue to operate across our country.
Yeah. Okay.
The banks, some of the banks may eventually merge to come together as one bank. Some 2 or 3 banks can come together. I envisage that a few of the banks that have already not recapitalized, because this thing has been running since 1st April 2024.
Yeah.
So if any bank is still finding it difficult to raise money at this time, then it means that they may not be able to meet the March
31st.
Yes, the March 31st deadline.
Sorry, BKO. Sorry, BKO. We have company. Ade is reaching us from London. Is he there? Ade, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to my brother in the studio, and good afternoon to Prince.
Welcome.
I just have a question. I spoke about to 1 million last week in Abuja. Nigerian banks, they are still operating locally. You see, why am I saying so? What they are trying in Nigeria, they can't try it here. When you put your money in the bank, they will deduct your money. You transfer money, they deduct money. We don't do that here. You can transfer 10 times. Your money is intact. The bank will not charge you a dime.
What's your question? What's your question?
You need your money.
Yeah. What's your question?
My question is this. I want the media to invite the Central Bank Director of Operation. I have the question, why are they charging customers? Why are they losing money? And they don't do that in Europe. Let them answer us. I have account in Nigeria, they will be taking my money 250, 150 every day. So ask them the question. So I don't expect their bank, the Nigeria bank, they are making profit by flooding ordinary profit.
Ade, you watch on. You watch on. He will address the question. Thank you. Yeah, BK, you were on. Sorry about that intervention.
Yes. Yes, I do not blame Ade for the comment that he has made. It is true that Nigerian depositors suffer from multiple charges. Some of these charges are absolutely unnecessary. And there's no need for them. For example, but they argue too that the operating environment is different. Banks pay so much money to be able to keep the business running, like powering their branches with generators and all that. Some of those costs are not incurred abroad because light is constant. I'm just giving that as an illustration, and I'm not their defender. I'm also worried at the rate at which they take money from my account every time I go to use the ATM machine. So it's part of why people are complaining about what is going on. Why do we have this situation? So I understand that. So I'm saying that. I was saying earlier on that banks that cannot meet the stipulation can downgrade and become a regional bank, which means they can operate within their geopolitical zone, rather than
want to go
operate
nationally.
Nationally. So they've given them that option. It's possible for some of them to exercise their discretion and use that option and still remain in business, because if you are big and you're able to operate effectively nationally, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to meet this target at this time. Some of the banks, Nigerian banks, are operating in African countries. I was in Kenya. They have Nigerian banks operating in Kenya. So, and they are doing very well in other places too. They're doing very well in other parts of Africa, West Africa, and the rest. They're doing very well. So they've been able to harvest some of the gains that they've made across Africa, to meet this target.
All right.
So in some of the profits that they've made outside of Nigeria, they've been able to repatriate so that they can meet this stipulation put in place by the Apex Bank. And kudos to them. It shows that the Nigerian banks are very healthy. If 30 out of 33 of them have already
met the threshold.
Yes. So it means that the banks are generally healthy. They are solvent, and this is what we want to hear, because if there is lack of solvency, it means that our deposits are not safe.
Thank you. I must stop you here, because the backroom boys are saying we must go on a commercial break. So let's obey them. Please stay. Don't go away. This is still Journalist Hangout on a Sunday. We'll be back shortly.